Good morning, everybody. Coffee in hand, ready to go. Some content to react to. What more could you wish for on a Thursday morning? We're going to kick things off by taking a look at the Phase 4 preview for Season of Discovery. Was just released today. I personally am very hyped. I hope that most of what we see in here is going to excite us at the end of the day. I've really enjoyed SoD overall, though I think Phase 3 was a miss. So I do hope that they're going to be able to recover here in Phase 4 and get us excited for, the end game, you know? Come on, the end game. Let's get into it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Clay Stone, Associate Production Director of WoW Classic. Welcome to our Season of Discovery Phase 4 preview. It is time. At long last, we're raising the level cap to 60 and jumping into the end game.
Let's get it.
For those of you who have been playing since launch, thank you for going on this journey with us. And to those of you just jumping in, now that the full level up experience is available, you've picked a great time to join us. I also want to give a massive shout out to everyone who has hopped into our first ever Season of Discovery PTR to help us test and tune all of the changes and additions.
Yes, thank you to everyone who did that, because it wasn't me.
Your feedback has been invaluable in helping us prepare for what's ahead. That said, even though the PTR was focused on classes, we know many of our eagle-eyed players saw hints at the content changes we're making to Endgame, and it's time for us to talk about some of those today. So, let's take a look at what we'll be covering. We'll kick things off with content at 60, then jump into raid information,
All right.
followed by some important itemization updates, then dive into world event updates as well as some system updates, and more, which you're definitely going to want to stick around for.
We always love and more. We always love and more.
Whether you're familiar with classic era content, or you're experiencing it for the first time with Season of Discovery, or you just want a refresher, raising the level cap to 60 brings with it a ton of new content and things to do, including access to all WoW Classic zones, like the Burning Steppes, Eastern and Western Plaguelands, Silithus, and Winterspring. You'll also be able to finally max out your character talents. In addition, the Aldrich Valley Battleground will also be unlocked. Epic mounts will be available to collect, and more. Also,
Okay, so obviously none of that's new. That's just hitting 60 in WoW. But great, excited for all that.
all of the classic dungeons will now be available, including Scholomance, Strathholm, all 3 wings of Dire Maul, and Blackrock Spire. And because the bosses have stopped spending their time in Phase 3 socializing in the Grim Guzzler Tavern, the second half of the massive Blackrock Depths dungeon. In addition, there just might be one more dungeon surprise we're not going to talk about today.
Ooh, but that's the one thing I want to know about. We already know about those other dungeons. Tell me about the new one. That's exciting, though. That's a good tease. That makes me happy. Presentation looks like a 2003 PowerPoint. Kinda. But that's very fitting. It's very fitting for SoD in a lot of ways. Okay, dope. Personally, I'm excited for level 60. I know nothing that they've said except for this extra dungeon or something is new. But even being able to go back to a lot of those old dungeons and just generally at level 60, there is so much content. I think I'm gonna really enjoy re-clearing all those dungeons that I haven't done in 20 years or so. So excited for that, to say the least. Let's see what else they got for us.
But we're excited for players to discover. Switching gears to a quick note about runes. Since we've had the PTR up for the past few weeks, none of the runes are a complete secret. So we aren't going to be spending a lot of time in this presentation talking about runes or classes.
That's fair.
However, we will be posting a rundown of new runes and class adjustments separately from this video. So please check the official World of Warcraft forums for that.
Okay.
Moving on to raids. As we previously announced,
Let's
the multi-core
go!
raid will be scaled down to 20 players.
Nice.
And will contain adjustments to the boss encounters across the 11 bosses for you to take on.
Okay. You see that smile? 11 bosses? Does everyone remember how many bosses were originally in Molten Core? Because as Alexi says there, I'm pretty sure that's one more than there were originally. So already, there were 10 to my knowledge, Starkiller. I could try and list them all. I don't even remember all their names. It's like, what, Magmadar is the first one, the dog. No, sorry. Lucifron is first, then Magmadar, the first two. Okay, then you go over to the other Naga that I'm forgetting the name of right now. Then you have Gar. Then you have Baron Geddon. Then you have Shaz. Then you have Golem guy. Then you got the dude who's over in the pocket that I can't remember. Then you have the ones up top that you have to kill. Major Domo, that's what it is, number 9. And then you got Rag. That makes 10. So originally 10. Yeah, Major Domo, exactly. So who's the 11th? Who's the 11th? Really subtle. And dude, like, that's the most, I love this freeze frame that I got, by the way, because that's like such a knowing smirk. And they know that immediately a lot of people keyed into, hold on a second, 11 bosses? Who's the 11th boss? What are they going to do? What's being introduced? I'm excited for this.
Just going to leave that there. We are
just going to leave that there.
Everyone...
Okay, I'm excited. Okay, I'm pumped for that. I'm pumped for that. Firelands boss. Yeah, it could be anything, dude. I don't know. We finally see Rag's legs. And we fight his legs. Fully revamped tier sets. Gonna be amazing.
That each class has access to. Tier sets aren't the only place we've made improvements, with many non-set items also getting a hefty overhaul as well.
Good.
Lastly, we are excited to announce...
I'm going to pause it there just real briefly to say that is actually so important. And in some ways, maybe one of the most important things in this whole update is the item stuff. Because if we look at what failed in P3, a large majority of players felt that there was nothing to gain in P3. Yes, Sunken Temple was also too hard for most players. It took too long to do, and therefore the commitment, but all of that is against the backdrop of then getting shitty loot that you don't care about, doesn't really further your character, and you could have just had your P2 gear at level 50 and you'd be fine. The fact that they're actually taking a look at the items and they're trying to generate, items that are going to feel good and feel like upgrades and work with the runes and the classes in their new balance, that really excites me, because hopefully it will feel rewarding to actually go in and do these raids, even if they are a little bit difficult for the average player, even if they do take a little longer than the hour or the 25 minutes that BFD took. So I think that this is actually really important, is the items specifically. I believe they will have legendaries. I don't know if the legendaries are going to be changed at all. Again, like, maybe they'll talk about this here, because that is a good question. Like, is Thunder Fury getting updated? Is Hand of Rag getting updated? Or are those just saying they're old classics? I don't know.
Announce that we will be having a scalable difficulty system in
this is sick too,
allowing players to turn up the heat inside and face ever-growing challenges.
I love this. As a competitive player myself, who always wants to try and push myself more and more, and I like difficult fights. See, I actually liked ST in its release state because I liked that challenge. I was so proud of us. I mean, we didn't kill it in its totally unnerfed state, but we cleared it week 1 before it was ultra nerfed, and then nerfed again, and then nerfed again. And that was really rewarding. So I like the idea that they're adding this scalable feature akin to normal, heroic, mythic. I'm not saying that's what the system will be. I don't know that. But the idea that, hey, we're going to give players a little bit more choice in the level of difficulty that they want to take on. That to me is exciting, and I'm pretty pumped for that. And hopefully, all my friends who are playing with me want to go take on the hardest difficulty. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Some aspects of this system were visible on the PTR, and we've enjoyed listening to speculation and, most importantly, your comments and feedback around this new difficulty system and the potential reward structure.
Oh, I didn't even know it was on PTR, so I didn't know people had been testing it.
We've wanted to let you know that raising the heat level will not affect the quality of rewards. The quality will remain consistent as the difficulty goes up.
That's fair.
Instead, it will increase the quantity of reward.
Honestly, I think that's a great approach, because you don't want players... That's one of the issues, in some ways, with normal, heroic, and mythic on retail, right? Again, is that if I'm playing an MMO, I want the best gear. Well, if the best gear comes from mythic, then I feel at least some obligation to move towards it. Or I feel like the game isn't made for me, right? Mythic is too hard. I can never be the best geared player in the game, or the best, That's not very exciting. What this is doing is saying, hey, no matter what level of player you're at, you can, in the end, get your character to the most geared state without too much difficulty. Yes, if you choose to run into harder difficulty, you can get there faster because we're going to give you more rewards, but we're not going to give you better rewards. And I think that that's a nice middle ground there, personally, especially for an audience like the one they have in SoD.
Making some of the more valuable drops in the raid appear more often. In general...
Okay, and then even that, right? The point of some of the more valuable drops more often is also giving maybe that little bit of a nod to the people who are like, yeah, but I did harder difficulty. Shouldn't I get better? It's like, okay, maybe your legendary drop chance essentially has gone up 1% or 2%. So exactly, it makes Thunder Fury easier to get because you have more chances at it. So effectively, maybe the drop chance isn't going up. You just have more chances at the drop. So you'll, on average, hit it faster. And that's great too, right? So in theory, I love this. We'll see in practice, but in theory, so far, 100 for 100. They're batting 1,000 right now here, or 3.5 minutes into phase 4 preview. Good work, Blizz. Keep it up.
We don't want to heavily gate the best quality gear behind high difficulty content
Agreed.
in Season of Discovery, as we really just don't think that's what the season is about. But if you do want to push yourself, you will find additional challenges and perhaps be able to gear up a tiny bit faster.
Let's go.
Onyxia's lair has also seen some significant loot overhauls as well. And while Onyxia has misplaced her stockpile of Tier 2 helms, she is going to have plenty of juicy loot for you to
they
chase
took away
in
the
its
Tier
place.
2s from
They're
Onyxia?
also taking a new approach for raid size with Onyxia, as she will ultimately be tuned to be completed with 20 players.
Okay.
But the allowable raid size is up to 40 players.
Gotcha. You know what's so funny is this is something I've been saying since phase 1. And those of you who have been around since phase 1 can attest to this fact that I have said when they get to level 60, they should just allow all of the raids to be killable at 20, right? They should make sure that the raids are clearable with 20 people, and they should allow you to take up to 40 people in there. Because if you want to just go into LFG and say, looking for 39 more Onyxia, great. Bring in 39 more. Kill it, no problem, because you just overly stat check the damn thing, and there's so many people you can cover for errors. Or go in with 20 and have maybe a semi-decent challenge. I'm glad that they're doing it.
We love 40-player raiding, but we think it ultimately works best as a soda and pretzels type of content.
I've
In
never
other
heard
words,
that. What the hell does that mean? Soda and pretzels type of content? I have never heard that phrase in my life. In other words, he's going to explain. Okay.
Same level of difficulty you come to expect from Classic. So, if you are...
Is that what soda and pretzels means? It means easier? I've never heard that before. Okay. I mean, I guess now we learn. Today I learned.
Forming a pickup group and want to ensure quick success, you can bring 40 players. But if you are running with your guild, 20 players may make more sense to maximize your rewards.
Yep.
World bosses have had an interesting history.
Oh, this change I know of, and I'm very excited for this.
Versions of WoW, where they were hotly contested and created flashpoints for, let's say, interesting player interactions. While we love this intense competition in Classic 2019, one drawback to the content is that due to its limited availability, it tended to be content that most players never got to meaningfully interact with. We aim to make it a bit more accessible in Season of Discovery by instancing the content off and handling it similarly to what we just discussed with Onyxia. The raids will be tuned for 20, but can be done with up to 40 players to make it friendly to both organized groups and pickup groups. Related to these changes,
dubs on dubs on dubs right now.
I'll turn it over to our lead engineer on Classic, Nora Valletta. Take it away, Nora.
All right,
Thanks,
Nora,
Clay.
what you got for
I'm
us?
Excited to share some of the cool
Thanks,
new
Clay.
loot you'll find in Phase 4 of Season of Discovery. First, let's check out some of the new dungeon loot you'll find in Phase 4.
Loot!
We've got Iron Foe, which has had its level increased to 58 and now grants 18 attack power when equipped.
Chance on hit grants 2 extra attacks on your next swing. That plus Wind Fury or Wild Strikes. What? Can you imagine? Can you imagine Procking extra hits on extra hits on extra hits. Oh my dear Lord. And they gave it attack power. Exactly. But like just the idea that, oh man, okay.
Next, we've got Idol of Exsanguination, which causes your lacerate ticks to energize you for 5 rage.
Cool.
Totem
I'm
of
sure
the
druids
Plains
need that.
reduces the cast time of your healing rain spell by 100%.
Shaman fake
Taking
class doesn't
inspiration
exist.
from
No one
Blades
cares.
Using the 3-piece set in Sunken Temple for shamans,
Mm-hmm.
we thought it might feel bad to completely lose that set bonus as an option. Having it be a totem you can swap on and off for fights made a lot of sense here. Burst of Knowledge has had its item level increased to 58, its spell power increased, and its active cooldown reduced from 15 minutes down
That's interesting.
to 5 minutes.
I'm not a huge fan of actives like that. I mean, it's good that they made it more spammable. I mean, in classic terms, this is pretty spammable. 5-minute cooldown versus 15. And obviously 23 damage and healing is just a solid amount of damage and healing. I don't know. I don't know if that'll be good. Part of this is dependent too on the mana changes that they make, because they've said in the past that while mana is easy to come by right now, especially with Shamanistic Rage and Paladins and whatnot, they're planning to tune or roll back some of that mana. So maybe you actually need this, but generally, I don't think this trinket's going to be that great, personally.
Finally, we've got Libram of Holy Alacrity, which causes Holy Shock to reduce the cast time of your next 2 Holy Lights by
That's
2
nice. Hey,
seconds.
I have heard that Holy Paladins are finally getting some attention, which is good for them.
Our classic Tier 0 dungeon and Tier 0.5 dungeon upgrade sets have seen a full overhaul as well. In original WoW, a basic dungeon set of 8 items dropped in max level dungeons, and an epic quest chain was introduced in later patches to upgrade those items into a higher quality version of that set.
Mm-hmm.
In Season of Discovery, this is still true,
Okay.
but the upgrade quest chain will be available
Oh,
right
good.
at the launch
Good,
of
good,
Phase
good.
4, and each class is now able to choose between multiple dungeon upgrade set items that accommodate multiple class specializations as they move through the quest chain. While you
Yo, let's go. That's going to make the, pre-raid gearing process feel a lot better. Both the options that they're talking about, right? Because again, one of the things that is so attributed to classic WoW is that there's a lot of classes that just don't have gear that actually suits the spec they want to play or the play style or something like that. So opening up those options, big, and then allowing us to make that jump from tier 0 to 0.5 before we even get into the raid and jump to tier 1, that's huge as well. So again, all good, and it points to us having a lot to do on top of leveling, right? Obviously get to 60, but then remember all those dungeons that they showed us at the beginning of this presentation, farming this gear out, upgrading this gear. There's going to be quite a bit of actual stuff to do, content to do, which I'm very excited about.
You will have to choose which variation of each set you want during
Fair
the
enough.
quest line. The other variants will be obtainable via gold and
God,
other
look at that
means
gear.
once the quest chain is complete.
Oh,
so
and you
will
can get
have
the rest?
access to every set
What?
from your class if you want to try them all.
Let's go.
These sets were testable on the PTR, and we've had a blast watching people get excited about both the new stats and
Yes.
appearances of these sets as well. But what about raid loot? Here's a quick look at a few of the items from Molten Core. First
All
up,
right.
we've got an awesome-looking elemental shaman
Oh, no one
shield
gives a
called
shit. Move
Earth
on.
And Fire.
Yeah, whatever.
Looks similar to the rank 14 PvP shield.
That's a good
but
shot.
with a
That would be a
distinct
decent
color
paladin
variation.
shield, though.
We've got Magmadar's right and left claw, which allow you to summon core hounds to aid you in combat.
That's
The
dope as
3-set
hell.
bonus
Too bad
actually
I don't
allows
play
you
any
to
classes that would
transform
use
into
that, but
Magmadar
that
for
is
a
really,
brief
really
period of
cool.
time. But how about Faithbringer, a 2-handed paladin weapon for healing? Or Key to the
Also very
Sea,
cool.
a caster staff from Onyxia. Finally,
Yes, please. My priest and my mage would love that. Gimme. Gimme, 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 gimme. I want. I want it.
Obsidian Edgeblade, which has been changed from a +8 to 2-handed swords to a +3. We've added 1% crit with those stats and made it just a
I remember getting Obsidian Edge Blade on my OG Paladin. Ugh. I remember that. It just, oh my God. Oh, I loved it. Yo, what's up, Dinocore? Welcome to the channel, my friend. Obsidian Edge Blade is just, it holds a special place in my heart because it was the first weapon that I got out of Molten Core. I mean, naturally, it's off the second boss, if I remember correctly. But it's such a great web. Glad that they've given it a nice little update.
Tad slower. Our dungeon sets won't be the only color variations you'll see in Phase 4. Here are some of the cool Tier 1 color variations we've got coming soon. Next, why don't we spend a few minutes talking about world events? The Blood Moon is not seeing any major adjustments for Phase 4 and will not be a vector for new items or player power.
Oh, good. Good. Oh, okay. She saved it. She saved it with the second piece. I was so worried. I enjoyed Blood Moon for what it was in the phase that it was introduced. I was not a fan of them keeping it around and doubling down on it in Phase 3. I know some people were bigger fans of it. I was not a fan of the meta, the way it devolved, and don't need a reason to go to Stranglethorn Vale, to be honest. So, awesome. They're keeping it around for people who want it as a for fun event. This line here, though, this is going to stay in a for fun event. Won't be a major vector for new player power. Thank you so very much. I can ignore this entirely. That makes me happy.
But it will continue to happen on its normal timer. We wanted to mention this because we are nearing level 60, which means that players will soon have access to the highest level PvP rewards, and many players will be ranking up to get them. In order to help with the honor gain process, we're introducing a new Blood Moon currency in Phase 4. When the new currency is introduced, Bloodstained Commendations will have had their cost reduced from 1 silver coin to 25 copper coins.
Okay.
We envision Blood Moon carrying on as an evergreen supplement
Honor
to the
farming.
normal PvP honor ranking process. If you'd like to interrupt your BG queues for a bit of quick, chaotic world PvP, my favorite, you and your group
I don't need the PvP gear. PvP and SoD's not fun to me.
Supplement your honor farm. Next, we're making some significant adjustments to Nightmare Incursions.
Okay.
Shifting the mission quests over to a simpler daily quest format. We really love the overall theming of Nightmare Incursions, but think these adjustments will help make them feel like an optional supplement to normal leveling, rather than the be-all, end-all leveling activity.
Good. I mean, I generally still am on incursions. I did not find them fun, but that said, now if it's daily and you're encouraged to complete the entire incursion, so this will be the thing for them, is they need to balance it in a way that it feels valuable enough to do daily, regardless of how fun it is, that people actually want to come in and complete the whole incursion as it was designed, as opposed to perform only the elements of the incursion that are easy, get you a quick bit of XP, and then you go on and do the thing that you really wanted to do. Either way, for myself, this is still a very positive change, because I hated that incursions were the best way to level, and the type of player and person that I am feels obligated or feels that FOMO if I'm not taking advantage of the best method or system to level up. So by simply daily gating it, it's going to make it so, okay, we're not sitting in here for 8 hours on day 1 of launch just doing incursions to level. We're going to do them once, and then we're going to go on and do whatever the hell else we plan to do to level. So it's moving in the right direction. I almost, based on incursions in Phase 3 rather, would have said just it was a failed experiment, remove it, whatever. In my opinion, incursions should actually have been little instanced world bosses or mini dungeons, like maybe 2 bosses total, and like instanced but open world, if that makes sense. Where like you and a group of friends, you zone in and you fight a pack of mobs, a mini boss, a pack of mobs, and then a boss, and you turn in 2 quests and you get a big chunk of XP for killing the boss, and like that would be a fun, repeatable experience to a degree. To me, that's what incursions should have been. They're clearly not that. So making it so I don't have to do as many of them is a positive change in my book.
For all new characters. As a result of this format change, we are also planning to tone down the difficulty of some of the creatures within Nightmare Incursions to make these quests a bit more solo-friendly. The experience gained from these activities will cap out at level 53 as well, but the quests will remain available through level 60.
Reputation. Okay, so we can only do this to level 53 anyway, so it's going to become quickly irrelevant to those of us who are grinding hard.
Desire to earn a reputation.
Great, even better.
Overall, we learned a lot of great lessons for Nightmare Incursions, which we plan on carrying forward for any potential future events.
Okay.
And speaking of future events, For Phase 4's outdoor event, we've taken a few of the lessons learned from previous events and are applying them to a new, more lightweight outdoor event, the
Okay.
Black Rock Eruption. This event will occur every 2 hours and see additional spawns, daily quest content, opportunities for reputation gain, and increased honor rewards from World PvP.
Okay.
Outside of Black Rock Mountain, the forces of the Fire Lord are wreaking havoc. Join the Thorium Brotherhood in repelling these attacks with new daily quests to help grow your reputation with the Thorium Brotherhood and earn quicker access to powerful crafting recipes and other rewards.
That's good. I like that. They're tying the actual outdoor event into things you would already have to do at level 60, which I think is very smart. There's a lot of grinding in Classic WoW at level 60 for crafting materials and reputations and things like that. So as much as you can help us by giving us extra quests, extra rewards, that's good. I'm actually curious because it says bonus honor gain inside of Blackrock Mountain only during the event. How does that interact with PvE servers? So for example, we're on a PvE server, but is it going to be PvP enabled in that zone? Or will we have to flag ourselves? Is it going to be like Blood Moon where I have to choose to be flagged or not flagged? Or since we're on a PvE server, is that just an irrelevant bullet point to us? Just a question I have. It doesn't so much matter, but will be interesting nonetheless to figure that out.
Inside the mountain, you'll find your blood is running extra hot, causing you to gain bonus honor only within the mountain itself. As for reputation, we are adding brand new upgraded versions of the existing crafted rewards from
Nice.
Thorium Brotherhood,
Nice.
Dawn, Timbermaw Hold, and Hydraxian Waterlords. We've also got some really cool for fun items that allow you to teleport to Ajara, lay a fire resist area of effect that your allies can stand in,
That's kind of cool.
turn you into a water elemental. You'll be able to place
Whatever.
these for fun items on your keyring, saving
Good.
you some valuable bag space. Anyways, I've got some rep to farm, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass things off to our senior producer, Josh Greenfield, who'll be happy to share some of our upcoming systems updates.
Thanks, Nora.
Thanks, Nora.
Going into Phase 4, we've made
What's
a
up,
few
Josh?
significant system updates we're excited to share.
Okay, hit
First
me.
up, we took a lot of the lessons we've learned from the Wild Offerings currency and have expanded on that system with a new deterministic currency we're calling Tarnished Undermine Reals. You
Okay.
can start earning these coins from most
They're unique
non-rare
100.
spawn dungeon bosses over level 55,
Wait, okay. Earnable once per day per boss in high level dungeons. Okay.
and each boss will drop a single currency for each player in the group once per day per boss. This currency can be used to purchase a variety of things, such as rare crafting recipes, crafting materials, powerful gear, as well as a variety of other valuable items.
Okay, cool. I didn't mind Wild Offerings too much. Like I thought it was a nice way to give people at least something to gain out of dungeon repetition. Hopefully, it sounds like it is a little bit more fleshed out, because I think in Wild Offerings, we had like 6 things we could buy, and one of those things is just a random card. So hopefully and they seem to be acknowledging this here, is that there will just be more for you to purchase. And then on top of that, there are more high-level dungeons. So the idea that, okay, we go run Blackrock Spire, we go run Skullmance, we go run Dire Maw, we go run whatever, and boom, we've farmed 20, for the day. But we've also had variety in our dungeons. That'll be nice.
We've gotten a lot of feedback from players asking for ways to keep dungeon content relevant longer.
Yep.
And this is one way we're looking at keeping dungeon runs feeling rewarding at level 60.
Cool.
We're also particularly excited about a brand new feature to World of Warcraft
Oh?
Classic, a twice weekly raid lockout system. One bit of feedback we got early on was that 3-day lockouts on raids was difficult for guild leaders to manage due to the inconsistency of when reset days occurred.
Yeah.
In Sunken Temple, we moved the lockout to weekly to add a bit more stability, but we always wanted to revisit this to see if there was a way for us to provide the increased cadence and content availability that the 3-day lockout provided, but with a bit more stability and predictability to help with better raid planning. The twice weekly lockout accomplishes this by having raids using this lockout interval reset twice a week on static reset days. For example, in North America, twice weekly raids will reset on Tuesday and Saturday mornings. We plan to use
Okay.
this lockout interval for all of the raids in Phase 4. We feel that with the pace of Season of Discovery, this is a great step forward to allow you to raid more if you choose to.
How do we feel about this? I mean, generally, I think this is a positive change, right? You're giving options to the people who want it, right? Hey, you want to do it more, you can do the content more. You're not obligated to do the content more, but you can. Now, of course, this is going to be grappling with the very notion that many people have talked about, which is that no matter what, if you give us 2 lockouts, all of a sudden people feel obligated to be raiding every lockout. And that's tough, right? It's like now all of a sudden, okay, to feel competitive or to feel like I'm progressing in the game the way everybody else is, now I have to raid twice a week. And there is something nice about only raiding once a week and having more time in between things. So I just don't know. Again, part of this is also going to be dependent on the difficulty of raids, right? Because this is all against the backdrop of something like ST, where you're like, oh my God, can you imagine the ST experience twice a week? That would have sucked. But if they find a way to, bring everything back into check and it doesn't feel so painful to get through content, then hey, because like Nomer, I didn't mind twice a week. Nomer, I loved it. Molten Core is a lot of bosses, but that's where I'm like, if we have to kill 11 bosses twice a week, then we're really going to be grinding. A good change for those that want it. Exactly. It is a great change for those who want it, but that's the thing. Those of us who maybe actually prefer the weekly raid lockout are now either going to be feeling, FOMO, left out, behind the curve, whatever. I mean, there's definitely a get over it element there, right? I'm saying that to myself of like, look, you don't want to raid that much, don't raid that much. That's fine. You'll get the gear when you get the gear. But I don't know. But mostly I sit here very wishy-washy on this and really, jury's out. I'll determine whether I like it when I experience it, I think.
At this point, we're approaching the home stretch, but we do have a few more updates to share before we close things out.
All right.
With Phase 4 and the increase to level 60, players will begin having access to max level world buff effects.
Yep.
In Season of Discovery, we're also planning to add an alliance equivalent to Warchief's Blessing, the Might
Good.
of Stormwind. As fun as it was to skulk around the crossroads on our alliance characters, hoping for a kindly priest to mind control us for a chance at Warchief's Blessing, this should make getting your world buffs a bit less cumbersome for Alliance players.
Yeah.
As with previous phases, Discoverer's Delight will continue to function from 50 to 59,
Okay.
providing a 50% experience boost in that level range. We've learned a lot of great lessons about leveling, and while we want you to level a little bit faster, there's a lot of content in the 50 to 60
Yes,
range,
there
but
is.
we don't want to totally trivialize the journey in Phase
Thank
4.
you.
So having a more nominal buff from 50 to 59 makes sense.
Now, the only thing that's going to piss me off is that if after 1 week they up that from 50 to 150 or something, which they're probably going to do. Let's be real. Maybe not after the first week, maybe after 2 weeks. That's going to annoy me a little bit, but it is what it is.
Characters from 1 through 49 will still enjoy 150% experience increase as well, so it should be super easy to get those alts caught up. Like previous level up raids, Sunken Temple will give a generous amount of XP, so
Good.
running that while you're leveling could give you a good bump as well. In Phase 4, we plan to allow blacksmiths and leatherworkers to swap their profession specs for a nominal cost. This will not quite be ready for the launch of Phase 4, but we do plan to introduce it a short time later. Perhaps most excitingly, we've done major overhauls.
I mean, that's good. I think that's smart, right? It can feel real weird in classic WoW. You pigeonhole yourself into, I went, dragon leatherworking or whatever the heck the different specs are called, weaponsmithing versus armor smithing. The fact that, okay, I'll actually be able to have access to all of it, I think is great, on top of the idea that they're adding a bunch of new stuff in for crafting.
to many.
I love crafting in games if the crafting system is it feels full. And so hopefully this will help with that.
Iconic in-game crafting recipes, with dozens of recipes replaced or given a method to upgrade into even better versions of their original crafted items. First up, we've got the refined Hammer of the Titans, a two-handed mace with 2.0 speed that has a very hefty amount
All right,
of
feral
attack
druids.
power. It also retains
Chance
its
on hit to
classic
stun for 3
3-second stun
seconds?
proc, which will now proc in druid form.
That's gross.
And who could forget the iconic Arcanite
Yes, Arcanite Reaper.
newly upgraded and refined into
Woo,
a 4.0
84
speed
attack
powerhouse
power,
with improved stats and a very
4.0
fancy
speed.
new classified glow. These are just two examples out of
Jesus.
many iconic crafting recipes to receive major glow ups in Phase 4. So get out there and get crafting. Looking
Yeah,
at the
you
raid
know
release
it.
schedule, in a departure from previous phases, we've decided to space out the unlock of raid content following
Okay.
launch. Azergos and Kazakh will go live 1 week after launch, with Molten Core and Onyxia the week after that. Phase 4 is going to
Whoa,
have
whoa, 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 whoa. Let's just hear that one more time and then we will respond to that.
out the unlock of raid content following launch. Azergos and Kazakh will go live 1 week after launch, with Molten Core and Onyxia the week after that.
Okay. So there will be not a single raid available in the first week. Only the world bosses will be available in the second week. And then MC will open in the third week. They didn't say anything about Onyx. Onyxia is with Molten Core. So Onyxia Molten Core, not till the third week. So you don't. Well, there's not 4 raids per. The world bosses, I wouldn't consider them raid. I mean, you do get in a raid group to kill them. They're not that involved. They won't be that hard. You zone in, you kill the boss, you zone out. And Onyxia is kind of like that. There's a little bit of trash before you get to her. But she's a single boss raid. So you clear a little bit of trash, you kill her, you move on. Molten Core is the big one. That's the one that originally had 10 bosses. They're saying now has 11. That'll be your big one on each reset, at least initially. Waiting 2 whole weeks for the raid, though. I mean, again, I think that's good for the casual player. I'm okay waiting a week. I think I would prefer Molten Core and Onyxia to be available in week 2. Because I imagine by the time week 3 rolls around, I'm going to be maybe doing a little bit of twiddling my thumbs. Although, who knows? It'll give me time to play other games then, I guess, and not feel like I have to grind 10 hours a day to be ready for that first clear. Because I do want to clear all the raids the very weeks that they become available. But this is a very interesting kind of departure from previous phases, right? Where they've allowed us to have the content a lot sooner.
Phase 4 is going to have a ton of compelling things to do right at 60.
That's a good point. We do have dates. That is a good point, that they list weeks 2 and weeks 3 as the 18th and the 25th, which implies, obviously, that the release will be 7 days before this. So July 11th, which is not that far off. That's only like 2 weeks off at this point, would be when the first week of Phase 4 starts.
With a lot of new and improved loot to chase. We think that this pre-raid gearing phase is one of the best parts about hitting level 60.
And that's a good point. Again, I do think 60 can be looked at differently than level 25, 40, and 50, right? Where those weren't natural breakpoints prior for WoW. And 60 was a breakpoint where you had all this stuff to do before you go in and raid. So giving us that time to actually do that stuff makes more sense versus like, well, I hit 50. There's nothing to do to raid prep for Sunken Temple. You just needed to be level 50, right? So they needed to get us that content a little faster.
On a fresh character, and giving that pre-raid best-in-slot process a bit of time to breathe and giving you some worthwhile goals to accomplish ahead of the raids becoming available is very exciting. Should provide you with a lot of great, satisfying gear progression leading up to those raids becoming available. With that, we are done with today's presentation.
All
we
right.
appreciate your patience as we're working diligently to get Phase 4 into your hands. We really appreciate all of the participation in our recent PTR releases, and we continue to consume your feedback as we're finishing things up for Phase 4. As always, the WoW Classic development team is incredibly grateful for your support. Thank you for playing with us, and thank you for your feedback and participating and helping us develop this season. We'll see you again when Season of Discovery Phase 4 goes live on July 11th, 2024. Thank you and goodbye.
Hi, everyone.
Hell yeah. Thank you and goodbye. Honestly, I think 98.9% of that is incredible. And even the 1.1% that I didn't include there is not stuff that I'm immediately, worried about, maybe have a question or two about, or maybe aren't personally going to play to my desires, but that's fine. They're not making the game for me. I think this is, again, in theory, right? Everything is in theory versus in practice, but in theory, these are all incredibly positive changes that I think are born out of direct feedback from the community and will hopefully really play out well here for the SoD community in Phase 4 and kind of bring us full circle on something that I think, started out so well, right? You remember back to Phase 1, even Phase 2, people really having a great time, and something happened in that transition to Phase 3 that people went cold on it all of a sudden. But I hope Blizzard doesn't look at this as a failed experiment in the end, and I think the changes they're making are ultimately very good. What an awesome Phase 4 preview for Season of Discovery. I'm very hyped for it. I can't wait to start playing. It sounds like July 11th is when we'll be hitting the grind on our way from 50 to 60 and running those endgame dungeons, getting the pre-bis before we dive into Molten Core and face Ragnaros again for the first time in, well, the OG Ragnaros for the first time in 20-something years. I'm super excited for it. Let me know, all of you at home, in the comments, your thoughts and feelings on Season 4 and, or rather Phase 4 of Season Discovery, and whether or not you're going to dive in and play with us.